Well, hello there all you absolutely magnificent people, and welcome back to another episode of An Ecologist Plays. We talk about nature while playing games. My name is Will, I'm an ecologist by training, and this is Grounded 2. And today we are going to take on one of the lichenids. We are going to be taking on the blue butterfly, and we'll chat a bit about them and their ecology in a moment. But let us first prepare by making the scorching staff, because this is going to be a very useful weapon when taking on the lichenid, when taking on the blue butterfly. We are also just going to upgrade it, so it is level 3, which is going to be very nice. And now I believe we are ready. So let us grab Antilda here and head off to where the lichenids usually are. Now, I did spend quite a lot of time trying to figure out what species this butterfly actually is, and I came to the conclusion that I think it is the northern blue, Plebeius idus, or Plebeius idus, however you want to pronounce that. And that species has a distribution through North America all the way to Europe as well. So a very, very widespread species, but with a lot of subspecies. And because it has a lot of subspecies, and those subspecies have very different ranges from each other, first of all, they can have very, very varied coloration. They do vary across the range, but also some of those subspecies are actually quite rare and are potentially threatened. And here we go. There is the beautiful, beautiful blue butterfly. Now, there are many reasons why I think this is the northern blue. One of them being the abundance of orange on the underside here. Also on the top side, this is a male, and we are just under attack by a mite again. But here we go, we've got the orange along the side here, on the underside of the wings here, which is present in a lot of the subspecies of the northern blue, of the Plebeius idus. We also have banded antennae, which we find in a lot of the Lichenidae, the blue family. And the blues, they include things like the blues, the coppers, the hairtails, the elfins, whole bunch of different butterflies. In fact, it is the second largest butterfly family on Earth, with about 30% of butterfly species being in that family. So you can imagine, it's very difficult to figure out what butterfly this actually is. Now, from what I've seen, northern blues do not actually have the lighter colored feet here, but that could just be artistic license here. So I'm just going to chalk that up to that. Now, the butterfly we do have here has very, very bright top side of the wings there. You can kind of see the vivid blue on the upper side there of the wings. Yeah, that indicates that this is most likely a male. So we are going to have a look at it in a moment. You can kind of see the orange on the top side there as well, on the upper side of the wing, which again is present in some populations, in some subspecies of the northern blue, but not in others. So a very, very variable species. Now, I did mention that if it occurs only in a certain area, then that population can be wiped out very easily through some kind of disturbance, and unfortunately that is very possible, because some species within this genus, within the Plebeius genus, actually only live for about 4 days or so as adults. They're very, very short-lived, and in those species, if there is 4 days or 5 days of inclement weather, so very rainy conditions during the time that they emerge as adults, well, then none of the adults can actually breed. And then the population either takes a dip or goes locally extinct, and they have to recolonize the area. So it is potentially a problem, especially for those rarer subspecies that are found only in certain areas, with only 1 or 2 populations perhaps. Additionally, things like incorrect fire regime, or the lack of fire, has also been a threat to some of the populations or some of the subspecies of this species. And unfortunately, the northern blue has now flown off. Maybe coming back. There he is again, right up there. Now, just a reminder that the caterpillar we do see walking on the milkweed leaf there, you can kind of see the feet sticking out there, that belongs to the Cecropia moth. It does not belong to the blue butterfly we have over here. So that is a different species as caterpillar to the butterfly we have over here. So though both of these are lepidopterans, the one is a moth and the one is a butterfly in the lichenid family. Beautiful one at that. While it is flying like this, just magnificent, magnificent color here on the blue butterfly here. So again, indicating that this is a male. The females are more coppery, brownish, bluish in color. So not as vivid blue as you see in the male over here. Usually also the males emerge a little bit before the females do, so that they can find a nice spot to then court the females, usually around clovers. Now, I don't see any clovers around here, but there would be clovers a little bit more to that side. And I guess there are some clovers in this general area as well. because the clovers and the whole bunch of plants in the Fabaceae family, in the pea family, are actually the host plants of this butterfly. Additionally, some in the Ericaceae family, in the heath family, things like Vaccinium, some of the blueberry type plants are also host plants of the Plebeius idis, of the northern blue. Additionally, just for interest's sake, this white and black border of the butterfly wings, well, that also to me indicates that this could be the northern blue, although they have a little bit more of a feathery touch to it. Now, there is another group of butterflies that I initially thought this is, and those are the tailed blues, or the hairtails. I was thinking maybe it could be one of those, but this butterfly lacks something that those species would have, and that would be little thread-like parts to their wings here. And that is because the butterflies here, the lichenids, especially the hairtails, they have a form of mimicry, which we call auto-mimicry. And that is where these spots can actually come in. They do sometimes resemble eyes, so they are eye spots. And that could misdirect predators. The predator could actually think, okay, this is where the head of the butterfly is instead of over there, and it could redirect attacks of those predators to the less sensitive wings rather than the actually sensitive head. So butterflies very often can still fly even with chunks of their wings missing, indicating that predators often go for their wings rather than the actual head, and it gives them a second chance in life, which is sometimes all you need in order to actually successfully reproduce. And as I often tell my students, an individual is only considered successful if they do manage to pass on their genes, if they manage to reproduce. Then evolutionarily speaking, they are considered successful, because they have accomplished the one thing that all wild animals and plants want to do. They strive to actually pass on their genetic material. Now, the hairtails do take it a little bit further by actually having a little thread-like appendage to their wings here, mimicking the antennae. So then they really do look like they've got a head on this side. And in fact, some of the species will actually move their wing up and down, making this little antenna move up and down as well, mimicking the movement of a head of the butterfly as well. So they really do take that auto-mimicry very, very serious. Now, we, however, are not a normal little predator, so we do know where the head of this butterfly actually is. And when he does land, we are going to take him on. I'm not sure where the butterfly has gone because I can't see it up there anymore. So let's go look for another one, shall we? I do believe I see one off in the distance. And we do have an ant nest right over there. And that is actually a good indication that this is also a good spot to find the lichenids, because a lot of them are what we call myrmecophilous, meaning ant-loving. And there we go. There is in fact one right over here. A lot of them have very close relationships with ants. And the northern blue here is no different. They also will have a very close relationship with the ants, usually with Formica ants, with the wood ants, or in some case with Lasius ants, with the garden ants, little black garden ants. And in some species that's a case of mutualism, where both the butterfly, or the larva at least of the butterfly, and the ants benefit. In some cases it's more parasitism, with the ants giving the caterpillar food and the ants not getting anything in return. And in some cases it's straight out predation, with the caterpillars of the butterfly actually eating the larvae of the ants. And there goes the butterfly again. So I really should stop talking and just attack when I see the butterflies. But let's see here. Should be coming down again in a moment. There's another one flying way up there, trying to attract the female's attention. I believe there was another one. There we go. There is another one over there as well. So the males are flying all over the place, trying to attract the female's attention. Okay, so we're just setting off again to go and find another blue butterfly, because, well, that one is also just flying around, still hasn't landed. Now, the blue butterflies, lichenids, they are found all over the place. And in fact, the genus name Plebeius here, of this specific group of lichenids, actually means of the common people. And that is because, you know, they are found all over the place and they generally are quite common. But as mentioned, at least some subspecies of certain species are also threatened. But there usually is another butterfly around here. And as we come along here, you can actually see I'm starting to build a bit of a base over here by this lab as well. And we'll get back to it later on. But for now, yeah, you can see I've got the foundation kind of down, at least for now. I will expand it as we go on, but here we go, there we go, there we go. There is our lichenid. So let us just actually sneak up to it and end it nice and quickly. We do not want to actually let it suffer. And now, of course, we can also scan the parts here. And we should also now be able to scan for butterfly parts. And you can see here there are apparently quite a few around here. 2 over here, there's 1 over there, there's another one over there, another one over there, 2 more over there as well, and 2 down here in the southern part in the entrance area as well. So they are kind of all over the place. And here we go, another one exactly where we just did take out that other one. And there goes another one. So currently the plebeias here, the northern blue butterfly, they are actually quite common. Now, unlike the stink bugs, I'm not going to eradicate them. I'm going to leave most of them be. I just need a few parts and I will be content, but I'm not going to take out any more of them at the moment. Here we go. Here is another one. So as mentioned, the blues are very often myrmecophilous, so they have that association with the ants. And if you're looking at some, for example, the large blue butterfly, their larvae, their caterpillars, actually mimic the sound of a queen ant in distress. And the ants then take the larva underground and then feed it. But then that little larva becomes predatory and then actually start eating the larvae of the ants, which is, that's one way to repay hospitality. And then when they actually pupate, they are protected still by the ants underground. And then when they emerge as butterflies, they may have a mad dash out of the colony to then fly around as a butterfly. But other species, like the northern blue over here, have a bit less of an insidious relationship with the ants. Instead of predating on the larvae of the ants, these butterflies, the caterpillars, actually will feed on the plants as normal. They feed on the plants in the Fabaceae or the Ericaceae family, and then the ants actually will come and tend to them. And very often, they even protect where the eggs are of the blue butterflies, of certain species at least. The reason being that the ants then get something from the caterpillars. They get honeydew from the caterpillars. As they feed on the plants in the Fabaceae or Ericaceae family, they produce a lot of extra sugary liquid, and then that is fed on by the ants. They feed on that honeydew. And then, of course, they protect the larvae in return. They protect those caterpillars in return. That's a very nice mutualistic relationship. And in some subspecies, and this is very interesting to me, in some subspecies of the northern blue, they have this obligate myrmecophilous relationship. In other words, they've got no choice. They're always associated with ants. In other subspecies, it is more of a facultative relationship, meaning that oftentimes they are found in association with ants, but not always. So they are able to survive even in the absence of the ants in the area. But truly a beautiful butterfly and a very nice addition to the yard. One thing that is, of course, of note is the mouth of the butterfly, where butterflies actually have a proboscis, this rolled up tongue that they will use to drink nectar. They don't have biting or chewing mouth parts. So that is the one thing that I've got wrong with this butterfly. If they had a bit more of a proboscis, that would just be next level. But overall, this is a good representation of the northern blue butterfly. So I am very, very happy with it being in the game here. Now, I did initially plan to actually wear the proper sizzling mage armor here and then wield the staff against the butterflies. But when I equip this, we unfortunately see Pete's head at the back of his head. So, yeah. We've got some Voldemort stuff happening over here. So we're just going to hide old Voldy there by having the Weaver armor and then just not use the sizzling staff against the butterflies. Now we are just going to head on over to the trash can to the south over there because we have to get to the top of the trash can and reach that orc transmitter up there. So we're going to go have a look and see what is happening up there. But on the way there, one of the other main threats, and I think that's a little scorpion that is attacking us. Well, we're just going to keep on running. Just keep running. Oh, that's a larva. That's a scorpion and a larva, and we're just going to keep on running. But one of the other threats to the butterfly, apart from populations potentially being wiped out by freak weather events, would be the incorrect use of fire, or the lack of fire actually, because these butterflies, like canids, especially the plebeias genus, requires more open vegetation. The plants in the Fabaceae family like clover over here actually, because they do often feed on clover and the heaths where they can survive. And if fire is excluded from an area, very often then those plants do not thrive, or they don't do well enough, or they disappear from the area because the vegetation gets too dense. So in that case, one of the conservation efforts to conserve, especially the rarer subspecies, is to ensure that fire is actually used correctly and the vegetation remains relatively open. Alright, now, we just need to get out of that area. Oh, Oh, I'm dead. Okay. Right. Died by misadventure. That sounds about right. Oh yeah, I was a bit silly over there. I should have gone around the trash can, not make a beeline straight for it. And I paid for my insolence. Let's try that again, shall we? Let's go a little bit more to the east. Because I do actually have a gas mask. I do not have to go into the gas without, proper equipment. I have got the proper equipment. I just didn't put it on. So let me actually start by doing that. And you can kind of see Voldy's head at the back of my head there as well, when I'm wearing the gas mask. Now, of course, here by the trash, we've got so many cockroaches. Well, there's a big cockroaches as well. There's a big one. There's a small one over there as well. There's another small one over there. There'd be quite a lot of them in this area because, well, there's a lot of food for them here by the trash can. Okay, now we need to find a way up, and I believe it is with that stick up there. But there's an all-controlled stink bug. Oh, of course there is. Oh ho ho. Now we're just going to peek that one, and then try to sneak up on it. No, okay, well, Antilda has other ideas. Antilda is being silly. And we're just going to go into the fray here with our lovely daggers. Of course, not yet having the fresh on our weapons, we couldn't exploit the weakness of the... there we go. Well, that will teach you, Antilda. Stop attacking everything. We couldn't exploit the weakness of the stink bug, which is, of course, the fresh. Alright, so here is the branch that I think we have to go along. And then probably along here, yes. Okay, so of course a whole bunch of trash here. I'm just going to skip this. There's very little nature to see here in the trash can. I do hear something scurrying above here, so I suspect it's going to be cockroaches, and I suspect it is going to be orc-controlled cockroaches. So we are just going to proceed with caution. Now I do see a normal cockroach nymph over there, which is fine. That means it's not going to attack us. We also have our first gum we can actually dig up here. And then we've got another transmission device we can get rid of. Well, that was actually less painful than I anticipated. It helps having a gas mask though. But, well, I think on that note, it's probably a good spot to end today's episode. So thank you very much everyone for joining me on our little adventure here today. Next time we are going to go look for some wolf spiders, because they are awesome animals. Maybe not in the game, but in reality, they are really, really awesome. And until next time, everybody, hope you have a wonderful day further and a wonderful weekend. I will see you all soon. Cheers!